we look at the days from the time the survey was taken to the time the deal closes, when we look at that metric, and we've got a group of people that are in the, ones, twos, and threes, 1.5, 2.5, 3.2 days. When we look at that bucket of people and we compare it to another group where it's taking 8, 10, 12 days on average, if our goal is to help people earn more money and do it somewhat consistently, either year over year, quarter over quarter, or maybe even month over month, that's a short window, but month over month, then how would we view that kind of information? Would it be no big deal and we just ignore it and move on? Or is there potential insight there that we could then bring to maybe influence that in a way that helps the AE earn more money or earn their commissions faster?
Well, as Robert pointed out, if some people are closing in 3 days and some people take 8 or 12, the first group is doing something different. And all of us want to be better at our craft, and we all want more income. So everyone here is teachable and humble enough to ask for help. And the amazing thing about LenCred is it's prepared to offer real help for real perceived issues. So from your point of view, you want to raise the standards and tell everyone that, improvement is possible and doable, and we're all capable of learning.
Excellent. And what we'll do with that information, and Kirk, I'm coming to you here in a minute. What we're going to do with that information is we're probably going to, before we go train, we're probably going to talk to those 3 or 4 people that are, have the quicker turn times, that are in the 1s, 2s, and 3s, and just say, hey, tell us a little bit more what you're doing, or what are 1 or 2 of your recent closes that would be good for us to listen to as we try to understand why you're closing faster than the norm. And then sometimes, some people might say, well, I don't know, I'm just doing what I do. So yeah, here's a couple of calls. And then other people might say, well, I think that a big part of why my closing percentage is where it is and why I'm getting them closed faster is I started doing this differently 6 or 8 weeks ago. And here's what I started doing. And I've noticed that it's changed a lot in terms of the clients, the prospects, and how they respond. We go, wow, really? And so, for example, just again, spitballing here, it might be something as simple as saying, I hang up before I hang up the phone with them. I tell them, if your request is accepted by this team of experts that I've told you about, then they always turn it around quickly. So how about this? If that's accepted, let's schedule a time right now for tomorrow because my day is going to get booked fast. I've got, how's your availability? And let's merge our schedules together to put a time right now on the calendar to make sure I don't miss you and we don't miss each other, so that if we're fortunate and this turns out the way we're hoping, because I'm going to go to back for you, let's get something on the calendar right now. And then all of a sudden they say, well, if it's got to be after 1 o'clock tomorrow. And then you can say, well, that's good because my only 2 slots right now are 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. Does one of those work better for you? Yeah, let me have that 2 o'clock slot. And so boom, now what the feedback could be is, as soon as I started doing that, I got their commitment. And not only did I get their commitment, but I framed it in a way that they knew that they should be appreciative if the strategies came back and we had something for them. And they knew that I respected their time enough to ask when was best for them. And then, man, I fit right into when it was best for them. And when I did that, it changed the game. And all of a sudden, I'm not chasing as many people now. If we learn those things, boom, then that becomes part of the training on this particular area. So,
well, I was just going to comment on that one piece of the conversion that you were speaking of between those that are closing within a day or 2 or 3 versus 8, 9, or 10. I find that to be very, very helpful and useful, because the main thing that I think that makes a difference in that particular topic is the creating of the sense of urgency and how what is the best way to create the best sense of urgency in the call from the time that you have that CSP, and finding out what their pain points are to get them to close. So it's the art and the skill, I feel, of figuring out what makes them tick, that will make them convert faster than not. And when you have those kind of metrics, it really helps someone like myself try to figure out, okay, if that's a problem where I'm having in converting in a faster period of time, then yes, there definitely needs to be some tweaking about how I create that sense of urgency with that customer.
Just a quick question from this morning. We talked about the importance of reading the CSP, which, like, a lot of times, like if I have a CSP this afternoon, tomorrow morning I could have things booked, but not every call goes an hour, so you read them in between. But that doesn't necessarily give you time, which I've had to do a couple times. Like one was a she versus a he, to send it back, and they're really fast about it. But so is that 24-hour? I guess want to get into when you're trying to set the CSP next day, which is in the survey, or you want to make sure the CSP is 100% valid before you set this CSP time?
I mean, here's my 2 cents on that, Brian. Obviously I oversee that SPS team, and I appreciate you saying that they turn them around quickly. If it becomes problematic to change, and problematic enough that I need to change my position on this, then certainly I will. But the percentage of times where changes are necessary is pretty small, to where I would not be worried about accommodating changes on something that's kind of single digit, stuff right now. And I would get those consults scheduled, or those follow-up CSP calls scheduled. And then in the event that you got one of those, 5, 6, 7%ers that needs to, get adjusted or changed, like you said, the she versus the he or whatever, then just turn around as quickly as possible. And you're going to have a few of those calls where you go, hey, I'm sorry, I noticed that this is incorrect. The team's going to fix that. I put the request in. Usually the turn times during the day are less than an hour, but within the next couple hours, you'll see that number change from, 23 to 50, whatever. You'll see that change. But the 99% of what we need is right here. So let's get to it. And then don't accommodate for that. And again, if that becomes more problematic than it has been, certainly we can adjust accordingly.